Hello everyone. It's a pleasure, an absolute pleasure to have Alie Jalloh in the studio with us today.
Thank you. Hello. Greetings to everybody.
Fantastic. Everyone who don't know, Alie Jalloh, we go way back. You know, we're not going to go into that, but you can see, we'll see for the conversations that we have that we're quite familiar with each other. So
yeah,
we go way back and everything else. So. Okay. But Alie Jalloh, he's a very outspoken guy, hence why I wanted to have him on. You are outspoken. You've got a lot of things that are very relevant. Very relevant.
Yeah, okay, cool.
And that's the whole point. They give people an opportunity to think. And on ClusterView, that's what we're about. I want people to think about stuff. We live in a world now where there's a lot of information. You know, a lot of us don't know what's real from you know, and what's not real, and what's fake, and what's real news, as it were.
Yeah.
So the opportunity to to have this discussion with someone intellectual like yourself, you know, a poet.
Thank you.
An outspoken poet. Most poets are outspoken. Come on, how many poets? Why would you write a poem if you're not outspoken? So there's a point to it all. So I'm going to ask them a few questions, and you know, we'll take it away from here. But before we do, tell us a bit about yourself.
Oh well, my name's Alie. Basically, I was born in States, which people don't know, and I was raised over in London, England. I came over here when I was about 3, 4 or so. Moved to Ashburton Estate, where I grew up, and then went to Merton College, then went to uni in Roehampton, and basically finished there. Did a bit of MCing, you know, sales as well. That's my main working criteria, and I've worked with charities for a period of time. And yeah, now at the moment I'm just concentrating on my writing and poetry, and yeah, just doing, you know, podcasts like this. So yeah, that's about me in a nutshell.
So what kind of gave you the drive to want to say what you feel, as it were?
Well, I've always been very expressive. I've never been a person to hold back, and I've never been a person to just be told something and for me to have no kind of validation for why you're telling me this. You know, I've always wanted to find out more. So yeah, I'm expressive anyway. The way that I write has always been very, people say controversial, but
that's probably the word I should use. Rather than that spoken,
I like
more
to say it's from
controversial.
my own heart. It's from how I feel and how I kind of conceptualize the whole kind of way or subject matter that we're talking about. I don't think I'm anything in regards to controversial or such. I'm just me.
Well, what does controversial mean? It means that you're basically speaking against the status quo.
Yeah, you are.
Realistically,
but then again, though, shouldn't everybody else have everyone doesn't usually do that. Everyone in their own mind has their own concept. It's just that I'm one of those people who will just put it out there. I think everyone has their own perspective, which is different from the narrative, but it's very easy to go with a narrative. You know, I think it was George Orwell who said, in a world of deceit, it's easy for people to look at the truth as an act of, you know, revolutionary act, and
insane.
And that's what we're seeing much more in the world now at the moment, especially with the COVID, which we're going to talk about, and everything that's going on with the BLM and so forth.
Yeah. Again, we're definitely going to cover those topics today. Let me ask you the first question then. Okay, you might have noticed that the atmosphere is rather toxic.
Yeah.
For anyone who decides to think for themselves, and you pretty much, you know, state. I often consider conspiracy theorists or likely anti-vaxxers. It's the word I'm going to use here.
Okay.
What's your thoughts on this?
Well, first and foremost, when you say anti-vaxxers, I know a lot of people who are very much pro-face masks and pro the 2 meters stand away from me. You ask me if they're going to take a vaccine? Hell no.
Interesting.
You know? So when you say anti-vaxxers, you have to be careful how we say this.
I've said this because it's what's been the narrative on LBC. Yeah, James O'Brien, literally, if you're somebody who has a conspiracy theory of any kind, pretty much, or if you're an anti-vaxxer, you know, with someone, he doesn't want to hear you speak. He puts them all in the same bag. And that's what's going on, and that's kind of what we're talking about here. And I'm glad that you're creating these definitions. Just because you think one thing doesn't mean you're falling into the same camp. Everyone has different views.
It's funny the word conspiracy theorist. I think now it's looked at as a derogatory. Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. You know, when I look at conspiracy theorists as in a way of looking at the conventional narrative and trying to find why the narrative doesn't actually make actual complete sense.
It's like being a whistleblower in many ways, isn't it?
Yeah, it
like,
doesn't. The whole thing of the COVID, it doesn't make any sense. Like,
but they vilify whistleblowers.
Pardon?
They vilify whistleblowers.
Yeah.
If you tell everyone that something bad's happening, and you know what, the company's going to go down, the company's going to take you down.
Yeah.
Rather than, but no, you've gone and helped everybody, you've saved whatever you've done. You've done something that might be considered good, but for them, it's not a good thing. And that's what society starts. It's like this whole mentality of being a grass. You know, but really, where does it all come from? So we just let people get away with whatever they want to get away with.
It's incredible, isn't it? You know, you've actually got the. I read an article in the papers where we actually have the government asking to spy on your neighbour.
Yeah.
You know, giving people actual rewards, financial rewards, for spying on your neighbour. You know.
What kind of society are we trying to create?
You wonder why, in regards to, you know, you used to look at the Eastern Bloc back in the 80s and you used to see all these kinds of, you know, these people living in these kind of really, how can I say, dystopian.
It's very George Orwellian.
Totally stuff,
yeah.
And don't we see that we're actually edging towards that very close? We're actually doing this now, you know, and it's scary.
Well, it'd be nice to it'd be nice to see what the viewers think, and if you do, please send in your comments. We definitely want to hear your thoughts on this because it's quite an important conversation. How do you feel about this? You know what we're saying here. Please throw the comments in. I just want to throw that one in as well, and subscribe to ClusterView as well. By the way,
definitely so. But you know, the figures don't make any sense at all. Like for example, 41,000 was the last time I actually looked at the fatality risk of this coronavirus.
I think we're going to talk about. We're jumping to one conversation.
Okay.
Because I'm going to ask a question about coronavirus.
Okay.
And COVID-19.
Okay. Sorry, moving ahead too far. Okay. So what do you want to base it on?
So go back to the question again. You know, why are they considered conspiracy theorists or like the anti-vaxxers? What's your thought on this? What's your thoughts on the fact that people are being vilified for having alternative views?
It's part and parcel of the game. Through history itself, you know, those people that have a different narrative from the others are always going to be vilified. Always will be. But the truth is out there, and I think, you know, more people are actually waking up, because what I'm seeing on social media, where a lot of people were very against this kind of conspiracy theorists and so forth, people are actually now kind of putting the pieces together and thinking, hang on, something's not quite right here. So we're now it's funny, it's like the conspiracy theorists are now the ones in a way that are the ones that support the conventional narrative in a sense. And that's what I'm kind of seeing. Like, for example, I asked one question, very intelligent woman as well. I asked her the question, now, why is it that the place of the origin of the coronavirus had only fatality of 4,000 deaths in Wuhan?
Wow.
That's the truth. And also as well, they're back to normal society, so to speak. Whilst a island in Western Europe, i.e. England, has had so many lockdowns, and also as well, we're wearing face masks and distancing, yet the figures still seem to be going, and we have 41,000. Can you make any sense of that? And our answer was climate, and what else was it? Human behaviour. Now, I don't know how that could even make sense. You know what? Does the virus not like Chinese think, you know what? Forget the Chinese. Let me go over to England and let me go and infect them. You know, climate.
We're pretty much same climate at that point.
Exactly.
It's summer.
It's like you're actually scrambling for ideas to try and make it look sense.
We're finding we're actually finding the answers for the government.
Yeah.
Rather than the government giving us the answers.
Yes, exactly. It's clear messages that you're seeing from the government. For example, you can have a party of 6 people if you're going to the pub, but if you like a bit of fox hunting, with my little kind of, you know, bourgeois toffee friends, you can have 30, you know, it doesn't really matter. Now, I don't know, I don't understand how virus can be classist.
I think it might be that because they have shotguns, they're probably not going to be that close to each other. Just in case one of the guns goes off.
Oh God, it's ridiculous. Like, how can a virus clock in at 10 o'clock? You know, it's like, punches in at 10. So you're all right till then. Pubs are shut in. All right, out I come. The whole kind of, I don't know. I'm gonna say it. The bollocks basically to say that. People who are of ethnic minorities are more likely to catch the actual coronavirus. Come on. Once again, that's putting barricades. Once again, making us different from each other.
So you're talking about basically the idea of creating a very tribal environment and dividing us, and that's what I'm visualizing.
Yeah.
I mean, funnily enough, I get out and about quite a lot, and I get to see how people behave. And prior to coronavirus or COVID-19, people used to be quite tribalistic anyway.
Yeah.
We talk about racism has a purpose, and it has happened, and it happens because people are the way they are. But we know it's more than that. The narrative is not as simple as that. But the fact is, people now, because of coronavirus, they are going in their cliques. They are mixing only with the people that they trust the most, and their families. And how many families are mixed?
Yeah.
So because of that, you're like, white people are mixing with white people, black people mixing with black people, and it's a nonsense. That is not what we need in the society.
Well, this is what's going on. It's been going for the last 30 years.
It's a nonsense.
This whole thing isn't just instantaneous. It happened in 2009. This has been a very, very slow process of less social interaction. You can see it with the inventions that we have, for example. Like, for example, computer games. Back in the day, you need to play your computer, you play with your friend, and you have a joystick. Now, we have Wi-Fi that basically means that you can play your friend anywhere across the world in a different play area, So that's taking that kind of interaction away.
Absolutely.
Facebook as well,
Yeah.
We spend more time actually interacting online than we actually do physically. Doesn't that scare you a bit?
Well, there's definitely a point to it.
And
someone is definitely socialising.
Yeah.
I mean, the upper classes haven't stopped their parties. They haven't stopped their flying around on their planes, going off from all over on their jets. Not that I'm anti. Not that I've got anything against the upper classes or whatever. I'm not in the slightest, because it's not for me. I was born in whatever world I was born in, and I'm happy with that world I was born into. But the fact is, it doesn't seem to be changing the way they live. Doesn't mean that coronavirus isn't impacting on them, because it certainly is.
Listen to me, honestly, one thing clear before I do carry on. Coronavirus is around. There's no doubt there isn't a virus there. My main argument is it's not a virus of which is going to kill mankind as we see it, and it's not the horror stories that you're hearing, and the whole point of lockdowns and so forth are actually, how can I say it, it's an assault on our actual basic rights. It really is. It's an agenda. It's not about your health no more. We can see this now. It's nothing to do about your health.
Well, the thing is, when have they ever really cared about our health?
Exactly.
Black people have been dying in how many numbers, in terms of cancers and
Remember
so
how
forth.
they used to promote fluoride in your adverts and stuff like that? Now we find out about fluoride.
I spoke about asbestos,
Exactly.
People just die, and people seem to just go, okay, they died, and there seems to be very little, recourse to get justice for against the people who really should be brought to justice for it. When you look at this whole COVID-19 thing, we're sitting there scrambling, blaming everyone, blaming each other, but really, where does this disease come from? Why aren't we going? Who's accountable? Why aren't we going to the source and dealing with the source? And why are we?
It's all hypothetical.
Why are we all suffering? Why are we all suffering? Financially suffering? Debt suffering? But where did the disease come from?
It's everything with the COVID is all hypothetical.
Yeah, we could have gone. No.
I could be a carrier. Yeah, you could be a sufferer. I may be asymptomatic. I may not be. I may have the coronavirus. I've got in contact with somebody that may had it. And it's just this whole kind of. I remember this game. I remember this game that I used to play when I was in school in drama, and it was called Murderer. And basically, there's one person that was the murderer in front of say about 20 kids, and what he'd do is that he'll wink his eye, and then if he sees you, then you pretend that you're dead, and someone's got to try and find out who the actual murderer is. And this is the game that we're playing at the moment in the whole world at the moment. Who is the coronavirus killer, so to speak? Because no one's actually got it, and I just don't actually understand, if you did have it, what the results show is that if you're over a certain age, you don't have underlying health problems, then you're more than ever going to be able to survive it. Okay? And that's not me being detrimental to those that are elderly and have underlying health issues. But the point really being is we were doing all this before. Before all this coronavirus, I didn't need anybody to tell me to wash my hands before I came in. I didn't need anybody to tell me that if I've got a bug, what we used to call it before, it was a virus, not to go near to my elderly loved ones and so forth. You know, it's like they're revising
if you had cold, just
information. When you've got a cold or the flu, you don't go to work, do you?
But the thing is now people that's the problem. That's what's happened. People have changed. People do go to work with colds now. How many times have you been in the train when everyone is sneezing in the winter?
Well, I don't.
Yeah, you one more.
I'm one of those people. Like, if I've got a cold, I've got an excuse not to go
those
work.
city boys, city girls, they're on the train with their colds, and they're going into work with their colds, and they're sneezing all over the place, and people are still working, and they're going, well, I've got to go to work. It's insane.
It's the same, but, you know, at the end of the day, the fatality rates are still the same as flu and everything else, you know, and I just see it as, like, the way that I explain COVID-19 and how I look at it as a mission, I'm not saying it's gospel, because as I say to everybody, it's a theory. And my theory is no different from anybody else's theory or anybody else's opinion, but I can validate what I say. So, for example, I look at the way COVID-19 is. CO for covert, okay? Covert operations, okay? The ID, identification by vaccine. 19, date of birth of its origin. Okay? It has relevance because, let's be honest, is a virus with 99.96 virus strong enough for all the mental breakdowns that we're seeing, for all the businesses and family livelihoods that are collapsed in front of us?
Suicide.
For all the kind of people not being able to see their loved ones, when they die. Is it all worth it?
That pain is unbelievable. I mean, I know people that have lost people, and I know, I seriously, I know the pain.
How
I
does
know
it
the
make
damage
sense
it's
that
doing.
you can't have a funeral of over 10 people, but it's okay if you've got fox hunting, you can have over 30 to 40? How does that
I'm not here to give you the answers.
I know.
What we're doing here,
yeah,
of course, absolutely. And I think the thing is, it's about letting people understand that they're not the only ones thinking it, but also there are other thoughts and other ideas and things to consider.
Yeah.
So again, we implore everyone to please send us your comments in. We're theorising and we're discussing.
Yeah, exactly. The only thing that I'd want people to do, really and truly, don't take my word for it. It's not about taking people's words or anything like that. Just do your own research and find out for yourself. Yeah, for and against. Because the trouble with people who are classed as conspiracy theorists, some of them actually really get indoctrinated to the whole thing, and they can't see the sense and logic of sometimes the conventional narrative. So it's important to be able to have a balance in regards to what you research and how you read, certain topics.
It's so easy to go in that rabbit hole.
So easy.
And someone said to me the other day, Mark Anthony, someone actually said to me, Mark Anthony, you've got to go down the rabbit hole. And I'm like, well, it's not like I haven't been down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
I'm very good at climbing out of it. I'm going there's all the books behind you. I mean, I've read pretty much all those books.
Very much like my smart. That's not a library as big as this.
Those are not in all my books. But the fact is, the very small portion of the books is in my loft. But the fact is, for me, it's like, I've been down there, but I'm also able to climb out. And everyone's got to be careful. You've got to take the information, read it, learn it, but don't always believe everything you read.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's neither here nor there. You'll find it. But if it doesn't feel right, it probably isn't right.
You can see it it's did history.
Yeah, absolutely. We're both at Rampton University.
Yeah, both in the same class, wasn't we?
Doing history.
Yeah.
Okay, so another question. We've gone on. We'll have to kind of cut these questions down a bit, because the answers down a bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so Black Lives Matter, this is a big one, has been for the greater part a peaceful protest.
Yeah.
And has won the hearts and minds of people around the world.
Yeah.
Yet it has also been considered a communist party looking to defund the police to ensure chaos and anarchy. This is how it's deemed under, apparently people talk about. People mention Soros and everything else. Can BLM be both and be of true benefit to black people on the whole?
Okay. Now, this was a question that was kind of raised to me, not so much in detail, but in regards to, well, you know what, this BLM protest. They're a political party. They're part of George Soros's kind of, I don't know, collaborations or whatever. Then it deeds onto their homosexual group, so to speak. And it's funny how history repeats itself. And when I say history repeats itself, it was the same kind of concept they did with the Black Panthers when they were basically in the forefront, so to speak. And obviously, without the actual social media that we have now, they were actually putting letters through the actual people's Black neighbourhood letterboxes, denouncing the Black Panthers and saying they were this, they were that, and totally changing the narrative. What people
they're terrorists. They said they're
terrorists basically.
Imagine that you walk down the street and you see someone with an afro and you say terrorist.
Yeah, because of the way they dress.
They were terrified the life out of people back then. Civil rights movement. Whoa.
Yeah, and it was them that were going to send black people to their deaths and destruction. Exactly the same way they've done with the George Soros thing. The thing is that I went to 2 of those actual marches. I didn't march under any party. I didn't march under any organisation. No, it's not even that. I was just an observer, but more point, how can I not be? But
I didn't go. I didn't go because
I don't actually go those things.
I'd have loved to have gone.
I don't actually usually go to those things, but for some reason I decided to go. And what I'm trying to state is that I couldn't give a toss about whether he's this, that. That's not my concern, because my life hasn't mattered for near enough as long as I can remember, It's not a group that I'm worried about. It's my existence as colour-coded black man that's the most important part of all of this, So what I say to people is personalise the actual slogan to yourself. It's not about a party, a movement, or anything else, It's not even about the slogan. It doesn't really matter. The whole concept is about equality. And for too long, ours has never really existed. We've always been used as second-class citizens. Whether that's been straight in our face with Jim Crow laws, or in the subtle matter of what we're seeing now.
That leads us on to my next question. It really does lead us on to the next question. So I'll answer it because you're going very close to that. What, in your opinion, made George Floyd's demise the powder keg that would make BLM a household name?